There's only one thing that's keeping you from finding a man if you are an unattractive woman, and that is your face or your body, depending on how you're built. Today's video, I wanted to focus on talking to women about why you cannot why you can't find a man. Because there seem to, there are a bunch of articles being written in different publications about, what's wrong with men, or, women kind of venting about, their problems, their struggles with dating and men and attracting men, meeting men up to their level. And, I thought I should offer my 2 cents on like what's going on in the landscape with the whole dating thing, because I think there are problems with dating that men and women struggle with, but I do think that there are some areas where things differ. And I just wanted to, as a man, just offer my insights to the women out there as to what could possibly be causing the issues you're experiencing as you are dating. And so I hope that this video is received in the generous spirit that it is being given. All right, so here's where I want to start. It would be dishonest if I spoke about this issue as if all women have the same problems, right? And, there are different ways you can separate or split women into groups. You can do it by income. You can do it by race. There's class. I want to focus on the categories that matter the most from my vantage point, which are attractive women, average looking women, unattractive women. Those are the 3 levels. These are the 3 groups that I'm going to focus on in this video today, right? To give my advice to help you out as to what I think your problems are. And I'm going to speak about these issues starting from attractive women to average looking women. And then we're going to focus on all of you unattractive ladies towards the end, right? Reason number 1 why you as an attractive woman cannot find a man. You're too attractive, right? You're too hot. You're too sexy. And this is not me just gassing you up, right? And this sounds like, wait, you mean I'm too attractive to find a man? And here's what I'm saying, right? Men obviously like attractive looking women, right? Like men don't desire unattractive women. We desire attractive women. We want to sleep with them. We want to date them, get married to them, right? You want a woman that's attractive. But there is something that happens where if you are too attractive as a woman, men kind of self-select themselves out of ever even going up to you and approaching you because of the belief that you are, she's too good for me, kind of, type of thing, right? There's actually a word for it where people, I think it's called assortive mating, where people they end up with people that are on their level. And since men are, generally speaking, the approachers, right? Not the approach like women are. We're the ones that have to take the initiative. We're the ones that have to go up to somebody, that has to, talk to a woman and convince her as to why she should care about what you have to say, number 1, but why she should care enough to give your contact information. Why should she care enough about you to let you take her out, right? Like, there's a lot for us to consider. And so from our vantage point, we kind of have a limited amount of resources, whether that's time, whether that's money. And so you kind of have to, as a man, decide wisely how you are going to use these resources, right? And that's really just a fancy way of saying, we don't really feel like getting embarrassed out here, or we kind of know you don't have a shot, right? You don't have a shot with this woman here. She's out of your league. And so if you're a woman who is really, really attractive, you kind of have to know that, oh man, there are some guys out there, and maybe some guys that you might like, right? Because every woman is not after like a dude that's like a Brad Pitt dude or has a lot of money in the world or whatever, right? You might be a woman who is really attractive, and you might be cool with a guy who is, in decent shape, maybe slightly above average looking, is funny, doesn't have all the money in the world, right? But you have to be aware that this guy might self-select himself out of the pool because he views you as too attractive. And this happens all the time. I'm not sure if hot women are aware that this happens, but this literally happens all the time where you look at a girl like, nope, nope, nope. It happens every day. The second reason why you might struggle finding a man, you don't broadcast that you're single. There's an interesting history as to why engagement rings became a thing. Right? And that has nothing to do with like some long-standing tradition or whatever. It was because diamond companies had to sell diamonds, and so a couple of decades ago, they combined the idea of proposing to a woman with giving her an engagement ring with a diamond. That's all there is to it. However, One benefit of this practice is you get to kind of see, okay, who is off the market. You're talking to a woman, or you see a woman at a bar, at a conference. You look down at her hand, and okay, no engagement ring, no ring finger. She's single. Now, in today's culture, though, a lot of people get into relationships when they're not married, and I mean for years, right? Dating 2-3 years, have children, right? But they're not engaged, they're not married, and so it's not like it was maybe 50, 100 years ago where a woman's ring finger was a good indicator of, okay, she's on or off the market. And so if you don't let the world know in some type of way that you are single, like, men are not going to assume that you are. And so it is on you to kind of broadcast to a certain degree, hey, I'm available, I'm single, I'm looking for somebody. And this can come like from a variety of ways, right? One way to do this is literally on your social media. If you have an X account, an Instagram account, whatever, literally just put single in your bio. Now, people might think that's thirsty. I don't think so. Again, I think you should put single. If you're looking for a job, you kind of make sure that all your friends know that you're looking for a job. You make sure your friends know, your family know. You put it out there in a post. Hey, unemployed, or you're employed but looking for a better job, looking for a second job. You'll put it out there. But for some reason, people don't put it out there. Hey, I'm single, looking for a relationship. And you don't have to put the looking for a relationship part. Just put, hey, single. One word in your bio, single, period. Boom, bang, right? But you should tell your friends, right? You should tell people in your acquaintance circles, right? There's like your friend circle, then there's like your acquaintances. You want as many people as possible to know that you're single and available for a relationship, but people aren't mind readers. You have to tell people these things. And the final reason why I think you probably can't find a man is due to the fact that you don't look approachable. A lot of women have this problem, and it's a problem now that you're looking for somebody, but it actually wasn't a problem for those years where not only were you not looking for somebody, it made you kind of safer in the street to not look approachable, right? Like, there's a term called bitch face, like resting bitch face, where it's a term to describe a woman who kind of wears a very, I'm not messing around face, like a very Sandra Bullock type of face in that movie. I forget the movie, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Where she doesn't really look like the type of woman that you would approach, right? If anything, her face is kind of a man repellent, right? Like, ooh, I'm not gonna go up to her. And a lot of women, especially in cities, right? Like New York City, Boston, any walking city where women walk around and there are men around, from the time that they're teenagers, right? Many women from teenage years, they have to develop this kind of energy and attitude as they walk because they get catcalled all the time. And I mean, this starts young. Like, if you talk to an attractive woman, she will most likely tell you this stuff started happening to her when she was like 10, 11, 12 years old. Like, it's that crazy, right? So from 10, 11, 12, they had to develop a way to move about the world when they're not around their father, their mother, any older adult, right? When they're walking to school, when they're walking away from school, when they're out with friends at the mall, they had to develop an energy, a facial expression, a disposition that would act as kind of a "don't bother me while I'm walking" type of energy, right? And it kept them safer. It did help screen out a certain segment of men, right? Now, those women probably feel like it didn't because they still got catcalled and harassed and, hey, yo, ma, and, damn, babe, look at that. Like, that stuff still happened.
Wow. That's not good. Wow. Hey, what's up, girl? How you doing? Somebody's acknowledging you for being beautiful. She said thank you.
But whether they know it or not, them having that, resting bitch face, don't mess with me appearance did repel a certain number of men. The problem, though, is you kind of have to know when to turn that off, right? And if you've been doing something for so long, it becomes second nature. It becomes instinctual. And so you'll end up being, late 20s, early 30s, and you want to be approached now when you go out to specific places, right? So when you go to a bar, when you go to a club, and you wonder, why don't people talk to me? You don't realize it. You still have that energy on you. You still have that that face where it's like, don't come up to me. And so dudes are they're staying back. You have to look approachable. Another thing, leave the headphones at home. If you're walking around with these, right, on your head, no self-respecting man is gonna approach you. In fact, I assume when people leave the house with headphones, because that's why I do it, if they don't wanna be approached or talk to anybody, right? So you walking around every time you leave the house with over-ear headphones, wondering why nobody's approaching you, right? Or 2 earbuds in, right? You have to look inviting. I know this is hard, but try going out with nothing. Those are the 3 reasons why I think attractive women can't find a man, right? Now let's go to the average looking women. Number 1 problem that you guys have, your standards are just too high. And I know all, like, women feel like they're constantly being told that their standards are too high. And why can't men just kind of raise their game? I'm here to tell you it ain't gonna happen, and your standards are too high. And I'm gonna get into some numbers to go into why your standards are too high, right? Because you'll talk to women and you'll ask them kind of what you want, what are you looking for in a man? And a lot of people don't know what the average American man looks like, how he moves through the world, how much money he has. People don't know. And so I'm going to give you some information here about what the average American man, like just a picture of the average American man, right? So let's start here. Money. The median income of the American male is $50,000 a year after taxes, right? So what I'm saying is, if you took all American men and you put them in like a line by how much they make, from the lowest amount to the highest amount, the number that's in the middle, $53,000 generally speaking. And the reason why we don't use average in this case is because those super wealthy billionaires, multimillionaires, if we use average, they could skew and give an unrealistic expectations of what you're most likely to run into in the street. If you're in a club, if you're in a room, and of course this changes what club you go into, what room you go to, right? But again, depending on where you are, generally speaking, it is more likely than not that you're running into a man in America and he makes about $53,000 after taxes. He's also 5'9". That's it. I know there's this thing with 6 feet. If you're looking for a dude that is at least 6 feet tall, that is not average. You're looking for a small minority of American men. If you're looking for at least 6 feet tall, I'm 6'2". I think I took one of these tests one time to see where I fall on like the bell curve as it pertains to height. And there's only about like 15% or like 10% of men that are taller than me. Like 5'9" is average. $53,000 a year, 5'9". He also weighs 200 pounds, which is overweight. And before you get see these dudes are broke, small, and fat, let me tell you something. The average American woman is overweight as well. Now, education, because this seems to be a big deal with women. Only 37% of American men have a bachelor's degree. For whatever the reason, and there are multiple reasons, men just aren't that invested in going to college as a whole. And so, 37%. And the last thing that I just, I had to know, average penis size, 5.3 inches erect. That's it. 5.3. Now, the actual data was like 5.1 to 5.5, but I went in the middle, 5.3 inches erect for the average American penis, right? And I know we struggle with, okay, well, what's that, right? So I wanted to look into some items that are larger than the average American penis, just so you can know a reference point of what I'm talking about. So all of these items are longer than the average erect penis. A standard pencil is 7.5 inches long. A regular smartphone, most are 6 to 6.5 inches long. This is an iPhone 16 Plus. So it's about an inch longer than the average American penis. A dollar bill. A dollar bill is longer. All of these things are longer than a American penis when erect, ladies. All right. So again, average means most, right? Meaning most of the men you're going to run into in America fall in these categories that I just laid out. If anything that I said here in this video was shocking to you, you don't know what the average American man looks like, and I don't blame you. Most of us form our opinions about the opposite sex, ironically, not through what we see in the world, but kind of, what we want and what we desire from media. The second reason why if you are an average looking woman, you struggle or you can't find a man, it is because you are a misandrist. And some of you don't even know what a misandrist is, so I'm gonna take this opportunity to educate you on what is a misandrist. This is you. A misandrist is just a woman who hates men, right? She's prejudiced towards men. It's the opposite of a misogynist. And a lot of you are misandrists. I don't think you are a bad person necessarily if you're a misandrist. In fact, I think you can become a misandrist due to mistreatment by, society, some of the men in your life, your father, you might have some daddy issues. But if you are a misandrist, it will put you in a position where you are starting out with a negative lens in which you view men, which just from a logistical standpoint, it makes it much more likely that when you're trying to date, when you're trying to meet men, any type of misstep, any type of honest mistake or honest errors, like I'm not talking about, a dude that you get to read or you feel like he's trying to play you or disrespect you or, something about him ain't right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just when you're dating, when you're talking to somebody, when you're meeting people, right? They're gonna make certain mistakes, make certain errors, do things that may trigger you that has nothing to do with them being problematic or toxic or whatever, but everything to do with you. And if you're a misandrist, instead of giving them the benefit of the doubt when they make these errors, you will view everything they do through the worst lens possible. And so you're never giving anybody the benefit of the doubt. You're never truly engaging with somebody as a person. You're engaging with this man as a stand-in for the men that have mistreated you because you have this toxic view of men. Now, again, I know the truth hurts, but this does apply to a not so small number of American women today, in my personal opinion. And the last reason why I think you might not find a man, you spend too much time outside with your friends. You're a dude, you go to a club or a bar or some type of a function, where you see an attractive woman that you want to talk to, but she's surrounded by her female friends. If you are the woman that goes everywhere with 2 or 3 friends and y'all all hang out, you stand together, those friends, whether they are aware or not, are men repellents. It is very, very intimidating as a man to walk up to a woman surrounded by other women. And I'm not sure how many women are aware of this, right? And I get why you go out with women when you're a woman, because there's like a safety in numbers, right? You go to the bathroom together, you look out for each other, you make sure that no guy who has ill intent can really take advantage of somebody. That's all cool. But you should know the other side of this, though, is men who have good intentions and who would love to approach you, they're not going to, or you're making it a lot harder for them, because how is he supposed to come up to you amongst your friends in a way that is charming, but not off-putting to your friends, not disrespectful to them? Does he talk to you in front of your friends? Does he talk to you and ask, hey, can you come with me over here? Is that disrespectful in the eyes of your friends? Right? Like, you add an extra hurdle by being around these women and when you go out all the time. I don't know how you would pull this off, but maybe go somewhere with your friends, and then when you guys get there, you kind of split or break up, or just I don't know. If you see a guy looking at you, maybe move away from your friends. Go to the bar. Go, take a walk to the bathroom alone so that he can have an opportunity to talk to you on your way back, right? Again, the friends are the hurdle. You have to find a way away from them. You just have to, right? So those are the 3 reasons. And now let's get to the last group of women, which are the unattractive women. And for you ladies, this is going to be real short, because there's only one thing that's keeping you from finding a man if you are an unattractive woman, and that is your face or your body, depending on how you're built. You are unattractive, which means you drew the short stick in the genetic lottery as a woman, right? Initially, it is how you look that is appeasing to a man that causes him to approach you, walk across the room, ask for your phone number, things like that, right? So if you're an unattractive woman, you are kind of behind the 8 ball here, and you're not crazy. I'm on Reddit a lot of times, and an unattractive woman will make a post about life as an unattractive woman, and the other women in the thread are trying to talk to her and say, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, and you're not crazy. That stuff is not true. There is an objective standard of beauty, generally speaking, right? Of course, there are exceptions, but generally speaking, if you get a group of people together, they can kind of suss out, especially men, okay, who is attractive, who is not attractive, even if the man is not attracted to that particular woman, right? Case in point, do you remember the Jubilee experiment where they asked like 5 women to put themselves in order from least to most attractive?
So this is final?
This is final.
And then the women put themselves in order, and then the men came and put the women in order. All the male YouTubers that I saw react to this Jubilee video, almost all of them have the exact same order that they aligned the women in, right? Maybe 1 or 2 exceptions, right? One place that was slightly different, but generally speaking, they kind of got the general order correct, right? And these were men of various racial, ethnic backgrounds, and I'm sure they all have their own personal taste, so to speak, but we all got eyes. And so there is like this objective standard of beauty that I do think women, unfortunately, if you don't hit that objective standard, but right before you get to the subjective standard, right? Blonde over brunette or redhead, or right? Like there is kind of objective standards of you're not that attractive to look at, but not curvy, right? So I actually like big women, if I'm being honest, but I like big women that are curvaceous. If you're just like a blob, like Majin Buu, a woman who looks like Majin Buu and a woman who looks like just big curvy can weigh the same, but the big curvy is more attractive to men than a woman who is just like round and like rotund. Is rotund the word? But just round. And again, this is not me trying to make you feel bad if you have that body. I'm just explaining the truth, right? Like take me for example. I'm overweight. I'm 6'2". I have man boobs. It's hard to see in the black shirt, but I got man boobs. I got a stomach, and I have a thin frame, and so my extra weight doesn't look good on me at all. There's some dudes that they look good with the extra weight. They can pull it off. Their whole body is kind of built for big versus mine. I have a thin person frame, and I'm fat, so it looks really bad, right? Just like really just not sexy in the slightest, right? So these are objective standards of being unattractive. As far as advice for you to get past this, you have to make yourself extremely valuable in any other way possible if you look unattractive as a woman, right? So, how you see like those big fat white women that got these black dudes as boyfriends and baby daddies? It's because they pay the rent. I know you don't want to, but if you want a man, you might have to pay rent. You might have to become somebody that does almost any and everything sexually, right? Things that just make you feel despicable. You might have to do it. Ooh, you might have to move to a place that doesn't have a lot of women. You have to get creative in trying to find ways to overcome the way that you look. Notice I only have 1 reason why you're single, and I gave 3 reasons why average looking women and attractive women are single, right? Because for you, it's just this. Like, that's it. It is just, when you look in the mirror, it's that is keeping you single. That's my advice for you. Anyway, I would love to hear the response from you all about my video here. Do you agree with my advice? Do you disagree? Did I miss something here? Comment down below. Tell 2 friends about the video. Share this. I really appreciate the community that we're building here of honesty. And yeah, I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Until next time, deuces.